All right, good evening, and I welcome us to the to the Audit Assurance and Forensic Skills Stage class. So we're welcome, and we're welcome to Chapter 2, Professional Ethics and Code of Conduct. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. Ethics, that's just common sense, right? But as we'll discover today, professional ethics is far more nuanced and complex than simply knowing right from wrong. It is the very foundation upon which our profession is built. So without ethics, we have no credibility. Without credibility, we have no profession. So let's dive in and explore what it truly means to be a professional accountant. Let me give you a quick roadmap of where we are going to, or where we are going today. We will start with the 5 fundamental principles, and these are the non-negotiable rules for our profession. Then we will explore the conceptual framework, a structured way to identify, to evaluate, and address ethical threats. We'll look at independence, we'll look at objectivity, we'll look at integrity in specific applications, how these principles apply in real-world scenarios. We'll cover confidentiality and conflict of interest, keeping secrets and managing competing loyalties. We will discuss ethical conflict resolution, that is what to do when principles clash. And finally, we'll cover NOCLA, which is responding to non-compliance with laws and regulations, which is one of the most important and practical areas you will encounter. All right, the learning objective for this chapter is very clear. We want you to be familiar with the underlying guidance and principles of ethics, and more importantly, enable you to apply those principles in a given scenario. So this is not just about memorizing a code of conduct. It's about developing the judgment to make the right decision when faced with an ethical dilemma. So by the end of this chapter, you should be able to do 5 things. First, you should be able to describe the fundamental principles of the IFAC Code of Ethics, because these are the bedrock of our profession. Second, you should be able to explain the concepts of rules versus principle-based systems and the public interest. This is the fundamental distinction that underpins everything we do. Third, you should be able to apply the conceptual framework to identify threats to the fundamental principles and suggest appropriate safeguards across a range of common scenarios. You see, this is where the theory meets practice. And fourth, you should be able to assess ethical threats, ethical conflicts facing accountants in business or in practice. And fifth, you should be able to discuss how an accountant should respond to a suspected instance of non-compliance. That's non-compliance with laws and regulations. So let's begin with Unit 1, the fundamental principles. And this is where we lay the foundation for everything else. So let's start by understanding how professional ethics applies to us. So the law regulates external auditing. The law regulates external auditing. Now, but internal auditing is not normally subject to statutory regulation. But however, all members of a professional body like ICAN must comply with professional regulations. So this applies to external auditors, assurance providers, and internal auditors alike. Why do we have ethics? It's because the accountancy profession has a responsibility to act in the public interest, not exclusively to satisfy a particular client or an employer. You see, this is what distinguishes us from a trade, our ethical conduct and acting in the interest of the public. So what is ICAN's Code of Ethics? Now, you see, ICAN adopted the International Ethics and Standard Board of Accountants Code into its own localized code called the Professional Code of Conduct and Guide for members. Now, the substance remains largely unchanged. The code applies to all members, including students and staff of an ICAN practice. Now, the exam focus speaks to primarily the concern on how, or the concern with how rules apply to external auditors or assurance providers. Let me give you an analogy to help this stick. So think of ICAN membership as a professional license. It's like having a driver's or driving license. It comes with rules you must follow. So the rules apply whether you're driving a commercial bus, that's external audit, or your personal car, that's internal audit. Either way, you must obey the rules of the road. So it's very important to take note of this mnemonic or this analogy to help you drive the point home. And here is a mnemonic to help you remember how ethics apply. APPL. Ethics apply to all members, including students of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. It applies to all practicing firms and their staff. They are covered by this too. It applies to the public interest. That's the reason we have ethics. And localized ICAN, and it's localized, speaking to the fact that ICAN adopted the IESBA code for localized and alignment with our national needs. This is very important to take note of. All right, so what exactly is acting in the public interest? So let's be clear about this. You see, a profession is distinguished from a trade by acting in the public interest. So accountants must not act exclusively to satisfy a particular client or employer. But what is the public interest? You see, professional codes don't give a clear definition. However, it's associated with the public interest is actually associated with detecting and reporting serious crime, protecting health and safety and public safety, preventing the public from being misled, exposing misuse of public funds and corruption, and revealing conflicts of interest of those in power. So let me give you an analogy. You see, think of the difference between a lawyer and a judge. You see, the lawyer acts exclusively for their client, even if this client is guilty. Now, a judge acts in the public interest. The judge is impartial and serving justice. So accountants are like judges. We sometimes act against a client's wish if the public interest demands it. We don't just do what the client wants. That's very important to take note of in that analogy. And here is a mnemonic for the public interest, DPPER. D speaks to detecting crime. P speaks to protecting health and safety. And the other P speaks to preventing the public from being misled. Then E speaks to exposing misuse of public funds. And R speaks to revealing conflicts of interest. So acting in the public interest is a fundamental principle of accounting, very importantly. All right, the next we'll look at conversation. The next conversation we'll look at is about principle-based versus the rule-based ethics codes. Now let's talk about the difference. You see, the rule-based codes contain specific rules for specific situations. Now, what's the problem here? It's impossible to plan for every critical problem. Circumstances change over time and ethical views differ between countries and cultures. So principle-based codes specify general principles of ethical behavior. So the accountant uses judgment to decide what is proper in the circumstances. So both IFAC and the ICAN codes are principle-based. So here's an analogy to help you drive it home. So think about parenting. You see, the rule-based parent says no TV after 8 p.m. Why a principle-based parent says be responsible. So which is better? You see, principle-based is better because life is unpredictable. Good judgment matters more than memorizing rules. You can't write a rule for every situation. You need to develop the judgment to handle anything that comes your way. It is very important to take note of. So here is a mnemonic for the weaknesses of rule-based system or systems. So CUC will help us remember that the C is complexity. You can't plan. You can't plan for every situation. And U is updates, where rules need constant revision. And C is culture, where we have differences between countries. This is very important to take note of. This is very important to take note of. So next we'll move to the 5 fundamental principles. And now we come to the heart of the chapter, because the heart of the chapter of this chapter is the 5 fundamental principles, and these are non-negotiable. You see, the code of the IESBA speaks to shall, which is meaning the principles, these principles are mandatory for accountants. So number 1 is honesty. Be honest, be straightforward, and the first is integrity. I beg your pardon, integrity. Integrity means to be honest and to be straightforward, fair dealing and truthfulness. An accountant must not be associated with information that he believes is false or misleading. The next principle is objectivity. Don't compromise judgment because of bias, conflict of interest, or undue influence. The accountant must be fair and impartial. Next is professional competence and due care. The accountant or the professional must maintain professional knowledge and skill. He must act diligently in accordance with standards. So you must be up to date. You must keep learning throughout your career. That's what it means. Then confidentiality speaks to respecting information handed to you during official duties. Respect confidentiality. Don't disclose without authority or legal duty. That means don't use information for your personal advantage. While professional behavior speaks to complying with laws and regulations, and you must avoid conduct that might discredit the profession. So think of these 5 principles like the pillars of a building. Integrity is the foundation. Objectivity is the steel frame, while competence is the bricks. Then confidentiality is the walls, while professional behavior is the roof. So think of them very importantly in this manner as the pillars of the building. And here is a mnemonic to help you remember: IOCCP. So integrity means be honest. O is objectivity, don't be biased. Competence and due care means keep skills up to date. And confidentiality means keep secrets. And professional behavior means don't discredit the profession. This is very, very important to take note of. All right, so let's look at how we expand the skills, as we expand the fundamental principles. So we look at due care or due care and skill. Due care and skill. Let me expand one of these principles, because members must carry out their work with professional competence and due care. You see, a contract for services must be performed with reasonable skill and care. What does due care mean? You see, audit work must be adapted to the specific circumstances of the client. So there is no such thing as a standard audit. Now, what are the consequences of failing to exercise due care? Number 1 is legal claims, speaking to contract or the law of tort. Then disciplinary proceedings by ICAN is one of the consequences, and loss of reputation and clients is also one of the circumstances, very importantly. Now, let's use this as an analogy to drive the point home. So think of it like a tailor suit or a tailored suit. You see, there is no standard audit, just like there is no standard suit. A good tailor measures each person individually. So an auditor must understand each client's specific business and tailor the audit accordingly. You can't apply a one-size-fits-all approach to all audits. This is very, very important. All right, so that brings us to the end of the fundamental principles that we just started in the first unit. So the fundamental principles are very important for the accountant, and they help us to behave. Thank you very much, Madam Tele, for the emojis. It shows you're following the class. So the fundamental